Hello again everybody, and welcome back to another new vlog. While you're here, please remember to like and subscribe because it really helps my channel, and that'll be a great help, thank you. I'm back at another spot that I was at about a month or so ago, and I'm right next to a main road, as you can hear, so I hope the sound's not too bad. As I say, I'm in a spot where I was about a month or so ago, and I've come back here because firstly it was a pleasant surprise to me. I didn't know this was here, and secondly because I wanted to try a couple of little experimental things to be creative with photography. My idea today is to shoot something called ICM, or intentional camera movement, and that's where you basically hold your camera, and as you take the shot, while the shutter is open, you move the camera, creating a very streaky, interesting, abstract image. It works quite well in woodlands, and the idea is that you open your shutter for a second or so, maybe a little bit less, half a second maybe, and what you do then is switch on the camera, take the shot, and as the shot is taken, you move the camera either up or down or sideways, or you can swirl around with it if you want to. And the idea is that you are deliberately adding movement to that image, which creates those streaks and gives you an abstract image. The other creative technique that I'd like to try, other than ICM, is what we call freelensing. And the idea with this is you put your camera onto a tripod, set everything up, get the camera ready to take the photo, and before you take the photo, what you do is you take the lens off the front of the camera. You simply just unclip it and just move it slightly forward, about half an inch in front of the camera, and then what you can do then is you can manipulate the lens itself by kind of turning it and twisting it and moving it around a little bit, so you're changing the focal plane of the image, and that also gives you some quite interesting results. I haven't tried that yet myself, but I have seen other people doing it, and from what I've seen it works quite well, so I'm going to give that a try myself now. I've got a shot set up here where I'm looking at some ferns just on the floor, and I've got the camera quite low on the tripod, and at the moment the lens is on the front of the camera. So all I'm going to do is take one shot whilst that's focused, and then I'm going to take the lens off the front of the camera and hold it in front of the camera whilst I manipulate the lens slightly and move it around a little bit so that I can get a bit more of an interesting image. Let's see how this one works. There are obviously a few things that need to be considered when doing this. With this technique of freelensing, what you're actually doing is taking the lens off the front of the camera and therefore exposing the sensor during the shot. You are only exposing it a little bit, but the problem with that of course is you end up in a situation where you don't want to be doing something like this in a windy environment or a dusty environment, because you'll end up with damage to your sensor, and that's no good to anybody at all. But actually I'm quite impressed with some of the images that I'm getting with this. I've actually ended up changing my lens as well, so instead of shooting with a 50mm lens, I'm now shooting with a 70 to 300mm lens, and I can adjust the zoom range that way and then decide which is the best option for shooting an image. But it is quite interesting. One of the other things to consider of course is the fact that as you remove the lens and therefore expose the sensor slightly to the elements, you're also slightly overexposing the image. So if you set up an image and you're ready to go and you've got your camera on the lens, what you'll find is that as soon as you take that off the lens, the exposure changes very, very slightly, depending on how much of the sensor you've got exposed to the elements. So you also have to consider that when you're taking the shot as well. But now I'm going to move on and see if I can find another composition to try this with. So I found myself a small patch of bluebells just behind me here, that you can see, just there on the floor, underneath the tree, and they kind of look as though they're an ideal position for trying these two techniques that I talked about. I've taken a few shots using the Freelensing technique, and that seems to work quite well, particularly with these bluebells because of the very, very bright blue colours that they are. So I'm quite enjoying that one. But I'm also finding that I'm in a good position to try and use ICM as well. Now obviously the intention is to move the camera, and that's been taking a little bit of trial and error to try and get that right. But also I'm finding that the light that I've got here means that I can't get a long enough shutter speed to make an interesting image out of this. I'll keep persevering, and I think I may have one or two in the bag that'll be okay. But in the meantime I'm going to take a little bit of a walk and see if I can find something else that might even be a better option for both of these techniques. So it would seem that the freelensing technique works a lot better than the ICM. I think it takes a bit of practice and a bit of constant practice really over a period of time to get the ICM technique down pat. But I'm enjoying the freelensing technique, and I might use that again in future vlogs, photographing macros or something like that. So this is going to be quite an interesting task going forward, and look out for more in the future. For now though, I'm going to leave this vlog here, and I'll see you on another one very, very soon. Like and subscribe if you've enjoyed this video. Bye for now.